Believe in Bigfoot, Dogman, any cryptid? Are you skeptical?
Curious about the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the unknown? Then come join us as we explore facts, tall tales, and encounters on Creatures and Curiosities.
Welcome to Creatures and Curiosities. I'm David.
And I'm Jake.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about a not overly well-known cryptid.
I didn't know about it until you brought it up.
Yeah,
that we should do one.
Certainly in the South and like Eastern Tennessee and Virginia and North Carolina, etc., they're quite familiar with the Wampus cat.
The Wampus cat.
Yeah, and so before we start our episode, I did kind of want to jump into a little bit. It's not really a correction. It's more of a
clarification.
Yeah. On our episode of the Jersey Devil, we did talk about how you can visit the house where the Jersey Devil was purportedly birthed. And that may or may not be factual depending on which account you want to believe in.
Yep.
And so one of the legends say that the Jersey Devil was born in the Shroud House, which was a birthing house back in that time in the 1700s. And if he was, in fact, born in the Shroud House, then there is nothing to see. That area has been relatively torn down, and from what I understand, there's only a little bit of foundation and maybe a piece of chimney left.
Yeah, some rubble.
So if he wasn't born there, then he could have been born in the C.A. Nothnagel log house, which was in fact added to the National Register of Historic Places, and that has been refurbished and is open for tours.
Which is the one I thought of when we first talked about it.
So it just kind of depends, which story you want to believe as to where he is located or where he was born. And then the last one that I found was that he was also possibly born in Estelle Manor, which I think is the current name for it. A lot of people say it was Estelleville, and it had nothing to do with Estelle Manor. But depending on whose version you read, it might have been an Estelle Manor, and that would be an unknown location or an unknown house where he was born. So if you're planning a trip to New Jersey to go visit the Jersey Devil, good luck in finding the actual birthplace of the Jersey Devil.
Just believe it's the one that has the tours. That way you can go take it and see it.
And a lot of people, like on Reddit, said, please don't go looking for the Shroud House because it's still in a neighborhood and they'll call the police.
Yeah, private property.
Yeah, they don't want people trampling through just to see where the old foundation or the old depression in the forest is. So yeah, if you're making the trip, maybe just take that one off your list of things to go see. So anyway, that's a minor correction of what we said in the last episode. So moving on, how was your week?
Not too bad. Putting stuff together, as you know, we got the new baby coming soon.
Yeah.
So putting together the crib and the dressers and stuff. So
little girl, you'll have the perfect family, little boy, little girl.
That's right. Probably more on the way if my wife has anything to say about it.
Oh, yeah, just don't curse the baby.
Exactly.
Remember
Yeah,
that.
I'll tell her not to shout at it.
Yeah, let this one be the devil. That's terrible.
What about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Doing a lot of research for the podcast.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting prepared for maybe having to have you go remote. So kind of
we'll see.
Making sure I have the proper equipment to get you on the air if you can't be here at the studio.
That way the audio doesn't sound cattywampus.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So getting into this week's episode, that was a good segue there.
Thank you.
The term Wampus cat, it could have been, although I don't know that anybody's pinned this down specifically, but it could have evolved from a slang term catawampus or cattywampus. And cattywampus was thought to have originated back in around 1834. And its original meaning was completely or utterly. So when used in context with something, it just meant that something was complete.
Right.
And then as that term later came to mean awry or askew, so if something was cattywampus, it was out of order.
Right.
It was not the usual. And so I guess in terms of the wampus cat, that's kind of what you'd be looking at.
Out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary. It's
Not a
very
regular
unusual.
cat.
Yeah.
I've always used it as crooked. Like, you know, you're hanging shelving or something and it's off beat and you're like, oh, I got it all cattywampus.
Right.
And you leveled it out.
That's pretty much, if you look up cattywampus now in our dictionaries, that would be pretty much the first line of order. It would say it's out of the ordinary or askew or diagonal or crooked.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I use it too. Is if something's cattywampus, it's definitely like crooked. Paintings on the wall.
Yeah.
That's a little cattywampus, you know. But now, if you're in the South, it has a whole new meaning, right?
Yeah, whole new meaning.
Whole new meaning. It's a big feline cryptid that is, and a lot of people will say, it's not a cryptid. I did read that. It's not a cryptid because it's a mythological animal in Cherokee legend. Well, you know, if you look up the definition of cryptid could even be an animal that used to exist that no longer is in existence. Like if you saw a saber-toothed tiger nowadays, that's a cryptid.
Right.
It used to exist. We knew that it existed, but it doesn't anymore. And so if you spotted one, it's a cryptid.
Even the Komodo dragon was labeled as a cryptid before they realized it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it existed. And
So
they were able to research it more and study it.
So in that term, you know, the Wampus cat is a cryptid in my book.
Yeah.
So even though it's a mythological creature, it's an unknown creature to us, and therefore it's a cryptid. So we'll clarify that. The cat also goes by other names, such as the Wampus beast.
The Cherokee death cat is probably one of my favorites.
That's the one I like because it makes the most sense since it came from Cherokee legends.
And it makes it sound as horrifying as it really is.
Yes, exactly. And then there's Gallywampus and Whistling Wampus and Cattywampus. I mean, there's all kinds of names that people will come up with. Another one that I read that's typical to the South is painters. Painters meaning panther, or and it's just kind of a slang term for a cougar or a mountain lion or a panther.
See, I've never heard that one. I like that.
Yeah. So if you see a painter in the woods, it's not some guy, you know, that looks like Luigi or Mario Brothers. It's a panther of some sort. So this Wampus cat kind of originated in the Appalachian Mountains. And before I get corrected on the way I said that, if you're a West Coaster, it's Appalachian. If you live in the South, it's Appalachian.
Yep.
I've looked it up a million times for pronunciation purposes. And if you're anywhere in the Appalachian Mountains, they call it Appalachian. And then, of course, if you're from California, it's an Appalachian.
That's probably how they tell if you're an outsider.
Exactly. Yeah. If you say Appalachian, they already know you're not from here.
They're glaring at you.
Exactly. So the Appalachian Mountains, it's a vast area, of course. Runs about 2,000 miles or so, starting up in the province of Newfoundland, or Newfoundland, however you want to pronounce that. And it ends somewhere around like central Alabama area. And it's made up of about 423 counties, spans across 13 states, and even though it touches others, it technically runs through the 13 states. A lot of people will say, no, it's in 18 states, because the Appalachian region is actually in about 18, but the mountain range runs through 13. And it also is comprised of 3 federally recognized and 5 state recognized Native American tribal communities. So if you ever watch television shows about cryptids like Monsters in America and other, Finding Bigfoot and some of the things that we've talked about in previous episodes, the one that always kind of drove me crazy. I mean, it was fun and I watched it and I probably never missed an episode.
Yeah.
Was Mountain Monsters.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. The fat kid with a shotgun always falling down and, all the bearded, hillbilly looking guys, that.
Them always catching something in a trap, but it just got away when the camera got there.
The magical traps that, they caught every cryptid that the show set out to find.
It's terribly good TV.
But you never got to see it because it always broke out.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
Yeah, love the episode where the Bigfoot is running literally through a cabin.
Oh, the cabin, yeah. And then around.
Absolutely insane.
And you know what? When they come out with their new season, I'll still watch it too. It's not going to stop me, even though it's just terrible. But it's good. It's so bad it's good. I love it.
You got to watch it. And they're running their 9th season. Or something
I think they're either shooting it or getting ready to release it here this year. I'm guessing.
Yeah, this year or early next is what I read. But one of the main characters on it passed away, so I don't know if they're going to replace him or not. But the whole point of what I'm getting at is those guys are seeking cryptids in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yep.
And because it is literally home to cryptids, myths, hauntings, legends of all sorts. And I think they have pretty much everything.
Yeah. Well, they have so much stuff that the locals have a list of rules that you have to follow or that you should follow when you're out in the woods.
Right.
Which are pretty good.
Yeah, they have some crazy rules, but you know what? It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I've heard these basic things. There was a specific mountain range in California that was out towards between like Ridgecrest and Johannesburg. And they used to say that if you went into this particular mountain, that you may not be able to come back out, that people get lost. And they didn't believe lost as in you couldn't find your way. It was more along that mystical, magical, you've entered some realm of another world and never to return to where you came from. And it's kind of the same in the Appalachian Mountains. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to run over these rules. Yeah. So if you ever are, especially, and I think the ones that I've read the most is like the eastern Tennessee area. Get up into the Smoky Mountains, which are part of the Appalachian Range. And I think these rules specifically apply to that particular area. But the first one, never be in the woods from dusk until dawn, which, of course, as soon as I hear from dusk till dawn, I think of the movie. The vampires in the bar down there in Mexico, So, I loved that movie. The second one is to never leave the marked trail. So, and my assumption is if you leave the marked trail, you're getting off into an area you don't want to be in, right? May never return back to the trail.
Quote unquote, end up lost.
Exactly. So you end up being one of the lost tribe. And what's number 3, Jake?
If you hear voices close to you, they're far away. If the voices are far away, then they're near. If the voices are saying your name, do not answer them.
So clearly,
which is terrifying.
I could just hear, I always hated those horror movies where they're whispering your name, and it's like, David. You'd be freaked.
Yeah.
Right? If you heard that in the woods coming from clearly something that doesn't exist or shouldn't be out there, I don't think I'd want to answer
Yeah,
it.
people always act so nonchalant in the movies.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, what is that? And they start walking. It's like, it's your house. You should know who it is.
Yeah, you psychopath.
Let alone in the woods when it's nighttime or starting to dim and then someone's whispering your names and you think you're out there by yourself.
Absolutely terrifying.
I'd run the other way.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you'd never look back either. You know, they always trip and fall and end up with a compound fracture.
Or they trip and fall and they turn around and just shuffle backwards on their back like they're unable to get up.
Yeah, I can't take horror movies sometimes, but so yeah, the number 4 rule is do not whistle or sing in the woods. And my assumption is because you're going to attract
they're gonna
whatever cryptid or
call them in essentially.
It's a call for something creepy or evil, I guess.
And then the last one, never look too hard into the trees. You won't like what you see.
Yeah. Now,
which you could take 1,000 guesses as to what that means, but are there going to be spirits in there, little creatures crawling around?
Yeah, I picture the Jersey Devil sitting up there, just peering down at you.
Exactly.
Whispering your name. Trying to lure you in a little further to get you off that trail. And I don't know, I've heard so many stories about the Appalachian Mountains and how terrifying they are, and the solitude of it, and walking through.
Yeah.
I have a daughter who lives in Tennessee, and, I go back to visit her, and you go up into that Smoky Mountain region, and even just in cities, like up in Gatlinburg and different areas that are around the Smokies and that mountain range, you can see how you could easily get lost. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but that Smoky Mountain range, it looks like a fog layer. It's not. It's I forget the technical term, but it's like gases being released or something from the trees and the soil,
or from the spirits,
and I'm going with that.
Yeah,
because I have plenty of trees in Montana, and we don't have all that.
No,
the gases in the air and all that. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hiking them during the day with you or somebody else, another person.
Heavily armed. And
yeah, exactly.
Like a SWAT vehicle traveling behind us that we could retreat to or something. But otherwise, it's probably just terrifying.
I do love the motto that they have. The motto for the Appalachian Mountains is "No, you didn't." So you apply that to everything.
Yeah.
If you see something out of the corner of your eye, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
You didn't see it.
Nope.
If you get that eerie feeling and all of a sudden the sounds go quiet, nope. Didn't happen.
You didn't.
Didn't happen.
You just live in denial while you're out there and enjoy the beautiful scenery.
Exactly. If something whistles strangely at you, or you hear your name, or you hear something that just can't possibly be there.
No, you didn't.
No. And so if you keep that motto close at hand and you just don't worry about it, if you do see something and it's staring at you and you're staring at it, they always say just pretend that you don't see it at all and calmly leave the area. And then when you get back to your car, then you can have your full-blown panic, heart attack, but at least get to the safety of your vehicle and get the heck out of there.
Which is probably why so many people go missing, because I can't imagine that. If I thought I saw something, I would try to see it, to see what it was.
Exactly.
Because maybe you think it's just wildlife. You don't think it's the Jersey Devil or a Wampus cat.
Right. And we've talked about that a million times, that we die getting the photo.
Just if anybody finds my corpse, go through my phone, because I'm going to get that video.
Yeah. And of course, the worst part is, you'd probably get just some blurry picture and they'd go, well, he probably had a heart attack or something, because clearly that's not a cryptid.
This guy's just dedicated to the hoax. He clearly said that.
It's too blurry. Yeah.
Or it would disappear.
You'd
have it on your phone, and while you're looking at it, it looks clear, but when they play it back, there's nothing there.
Right. That's definitely the way it would work for me, and I have no doubt.
There's no way I could just ignore. Now, the sounds, I probably couldn't ignore the sounds either, but I don't even know if I could ignore somebody whispering at me.
No, you couldn't.
No.
Because I think we're curious by nature.
Yeah.
And instead of, well, we'd be like a horror movie.
Yep.
Right? You'd be the idiot that continues to walk out to investigate to see what's coming from.
My pistol would come unholstered immediately, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
If I thought I was out there by myself and someone's whispering my name, I'm pulling my gun and then I'm going to die investigating.
Right. Exactly. But you know what? In our Jersey Devil episode, and they shot that thing with a cannon and didn't phase it.
Yep. And that's what would happen. I'd probably shoot it and it'd just be me and a bunch of shell casings around my corpse.
Yeah, with absolutely no evidence of anything there.
None whatsoever.
People just chalk you up as another nut.
Yeah. Some guy out there shooting and died for some reason.
Yeah. That's funny. But I know that's the way it would go down for me too. That's probably why I should just stay out of the Appalachian Mountains.
That's probably for the best.
Anyway, so let's get into the Wampus cat itself. So there's been just hundreds of thousands of sightings of the Wampus cat. And we'll get into it later because you can never get a specific incident. I could find some that had dates, from news media.
But never much.
But you don't get anything.
I look through so many articles and Reddits and subreddits and blogs.
And everybody claims to have seen it or has seen it at some point or their grandparents saw it. And if you live anywhere from New York to Texas, there's reports of Wampus cat sightings.
But nothing but kind of mediocre descriptions of what they saw.
Yeah.
And maybe where it was and the date. But outside of that, there's really nothing.
Yeah.
It's not like
it's not
when you read about
specific.
The Bigfoot or the Jersey Devil where they are very descriptive about what happened. It's always just kind of like, driving down highway, whatever. There it was.
Yeah.
But there's not much to it else, which was frustrating in the research because
and
I wanted to have at least one good sighting to give everybody. But
I got excited when I saw a Wampus cat when I was out hunting.
Yeah.
And I got a video of it. And then you watch the video and it's like a tabby cat, or a house cat. Clearly, lost its way in the woods or something. There was one that was relatively interesting, and it was on YouTube, and it was something about a rare sighting of Wampus cat 1, and then another video rare sighting of Wampus cat 2. And
I think I saw the same
Did you
one
see those?
where
And
it's like it starts off, it's in the tree kind of.
Yes, and it looks like a tiger, right? It's gray with like black tiger stripes and stuff. But then when you read the comment, because my initial thought was, it's just like a bobcat or something.
Right.
But then it turns and it's got that long tail.
Yep.
So it's not a bobcat, obviously. And I thought, well, I wonder what that thing is. And then everybody's commenting, that's a house cat, you moron.
It's a Maine Coon, those big house cats
and
or
so
something.
Everybody was like, but you can clearly see it doesn't have the 6 legs that kind of defines the Wampus cat.
Especially when it gets into the second video. You could tell, okay, this
You
just
can clearly
filming
tell.
a cat.
And then just trying to verify size based on the trees, which is very hard to do because you don't know how big the tree is and stuff.
Yeah.
But it probably is a house cat that's out there. The guy's filming literally, just a domesticated cat. It wasn't even a wild cat.
Yeah.
But so those get very disappointing when you think that somebody's got evidence of something and then you review it and it's like, this is clearly nothing, So anyway, we'll get into kind of a description of it, right? It generally has been described as being a very large, fearsome creature with like a bobcat type face. I've also heard cougar, face, but bobcat's kind of bobcats and lynxes and whatnot. They kind of have a distinctive little face. Not that a cougar doesn't.
Right.
But everybody describes it as a bobcat, and I think that has to do with the legend. Of course, there's 2 different legends as well that we'll go over.
Exactly.
But it's portrayed as a cross between a cat and a human with really sharp, elongated claws and fangs. And it's also been described as having these glowing yellow eyes that can pierce through the darkness. But I've also heard, green eyes?
Green and red.
Red
and
eyes.
that also, again, like you said, we'll get into it later, but that depends on, from what I've read, what legend or lore you believe.
Yes.
What those eyes look like.
Right.
And I also I read a couple things too, to go back on the face, that some people even said that it had some human-like qualities too, depending on when you saw it and how it was positioned.
Right.
That it wasn't just cat-like features on the face. So,
yeah. So it's also described as being extremely muscular, covered in dark, like matted fur. It's got a sinuous tail for balance and agility. Some accounts will assert that the creature has 6 legs and is more of a half cat, half dog hybrid, which is kind of strange because that doesn't match the folklore
exactly.
That goes along with it.
The leg thing is, excuse me, the leg thing is kind of weird in the sense of, depending on, you could see it a couple different ways. It could be walking on all 6 legs. It could be walking on, I guess, the middle 2 and the back 2, where it's got the 2 front up. And when it's like that, it's said to have kind of human-like arms that are combined with that of a cat, I guess.
Right.
But also they said that there's some accounts that it's been bipedal. So I guess you have it walking on its hind legs with 4 arms in the front, which is horrifying.
That would be even more frightening. That if you picture that, some big cougar, bobcat, whatever you want to call it, walking on its hind legs bipedal with human arms. And they even go so far as to say that the paws are similar to hands. And so one of the legends says that those human arms and hands are for fighting. So this thing will stand up on its hind legs and use the arms for grabbing and punching and clawing.
So I wonder if it just grabs you with the human hands and then the 2 cat hands that are in the middle.
Yeah, just rip your torso to shreds as it sinks those big fangs into your neck like all cats do, either tearing your trach out or snapping your spinal column.
Or just disemboweling you. It would be freaky enough to see it walking on all 6 legs. That alone would be scary. But I almost don't know what's more horrifying. It standing up or it walking on 4 legs with the 2 legs out.
Yeah, that's freaky too.
They're all kind of weird. And I don't know if it's just because it's out of the ordinary that it's weird, or I'd be freaked out either. I mean, it's getting shot right away. It has to.
Oh, you'd have to smoke that thing. Because it's it would almost be like spider-esque, with 6 legs. I mean, I know spiders have 8, but 6 legs crawling along the ground. Just, I don't know. It's not right. And so it makes it a really freaky situation. So this thing also, it's bad enough that it's frightening to look at, and that it can stand up and either chase you on 6 legs or run after you on 2 and reach out and try and grab you. But it also makes these blood-curdling screams, and it's been described by people that have witnessed it to be almost like that of a woman screaming in agony, which actually matches one of the Cherokee legends that they came up with.
When we get into it more, we can kind of touch on it, but to me, it kind of matches both, because if it's the woman, she could be protecting someone, warding off evil with those screams. But if it's the evil entity, if you're out and about and you hear a woman screaming in agony, you go investigate. Exactly. You want to go help out.
It's kind of like the sirens and the mermaids back in the day, where they're screaming out and singing, and they lure the ships in.
Yeah.
Well, this could be the same, where they're screaming in the forest, so you'd go check out to see what's going on, and Next thing you know,
You're getting ripped to
you're
shreds.
getting ripped to shreds by something horrifying.
Yeah, they've said those screams could be spine chilling, is how they've been described in some of the accounts of people that have heard them, which is.
And I can imagine that it would be. I mean, our first episode when I told you about the Bigfoot that was screaming out west of my property, that's what I would call spine chilling. But imagine being in the, I had the safety of my home to be in and weapons and everything. Imagine being out, you're just out on a day hike with your family and you hear something like that shrill screeching coming from the forest.
Right after you heard it whispering your name.
Yeah. And footsteps all around you and seeing things that you're not supposed to see.
No, you didn't.
You didn't. That's right. You didn't actually see them.
Walk back to the car at that point.
Yeah. So they also say that this Wampus cat it possesses exceptional speed, agility, and stealth, and that some of the legends will state that it can actually shapeshift or actually become invisible, making it more challenging to track or capture. So could you imagine you see it and it's screaming at you and you're terrified and your fight or flight thing. And what if you just froze in place and then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone?
Yeah.
And you don't know now, is it behind you?
Yeah,
or
which way do you run?
Flanking you? You have no idea where to go with this darn thing. But these abilities that this cat is supposed to have has been kind of turned into what people would become frightened and fascinated kind of at the same time. It's they don't really know how to describe what they've seen. And then if you do see it and it disappears on you, how do you even begin to process that in your head?
Because maybe you'd
almost think you were a nut, right?
Exactly. Because maybe you draw your firearm. You don't shoot at it yet because, maybe you wait for it to approach you, come at you, but you draw it to protect yourself and then it disappears. Yes. At that point, you just holster your firearm because there's no point in trying to shoot it.
Right. It's kind of like, wasn't there an X-Men or something where there was that thing that was almost like a vampire or something, but he'd just like disappear and then be behind you.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The Nightcrawler was his name.
Yeah.
The little blue looking dude.
Yeah, absolutely horrifying. And imagine if this thing did the same.
Yeah.
But it was out to get you. And all you can think of is this thing's going to tear me from limb, and I can't even track it.
And now imagine you didn't follow one of the 5 rules, and you made the mistake of it's dusk, starting to get nighttime, and now
so it's dusk. You're off the trail. You're staring at it, and you've totally screwed yourself to the wall.
And now you end up being lost in the forest.
I can't even imagine any of that. But I think this Wampus cat doesn't get the credit it deserves for being as frightening as it actually is.
Right.
But let's go into a little bit of the origin of how the cat came to be. There's several different theories, right? 2 of them they fall under the Cherokee mythology. And the 2 best stories, of course, come from that. And then some of the people from the Appalachian regions came up with their own folklore, but kind of based on Cherokee mythology, but they changed it a little bit, and we'll run over those as well. But I think the 2 best stories as to how this thing came into existence are I'll start with the first one here. It is a beautiful Cherokee woman, and she's married, and her husband likes to go out hunting, of course, with other members of the tribe.
Yep.
Which is a normal daily thing, right?
Yeah.
They had to get pelts and they had to
feed the tribe and all that
provide
stuff.
Food for everybody. So, but they had a sacred magical rite that was done every single time they went out. And so this husband and his other members of the tribe, they would perform this ritual in the forest every time they went on a hunting trip. They'd gather in the woods and they would ask for forgiveness for the lives of the animals that they were about to take. And so they would often seek supernatural help in their task, and of course, in all the Indian rituals and stuff, they pray to, if you even want to call it a prayer. I don't know if that's the proper term, so don't correct me, but that's the way I see it. Just they would pray to like different spirits.
Right. Spirit of the forest, of the animals.
Right.
All that stuff.
And so they would kind of ask for help to feed their families and to provide clothing and the things that they got from these animals. But at the same time, because they're taking a life, they
want to respect the animal and the spirits.
Right. And so kind of, beginning of conservationism, that don't overtake and be thankful for what you get. And so that was the whole point of them going and having this ritual. But the tribal elders refused to allow women to attend that. They were not welcome. They were not supposed to even know what was going on.
Yeah, it was all in secrecy.
All in secrecy, which wouldn't do well in today's society.
No, not at all.
Yeah, at all. They would have been called misogynists, But back in the day, that was kind of the norm. And so there was no real issue with that. But she didn't like it. And so her curiosity began to consume her to the point where she was willing to do pretty much anything to see what are they doing out there.
She had to know.
Forest.
It's like we were talking about with curiosity, not looking at the stuff you see.
Yeah.
It gets the best of you.
And it killed the cat.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe that's where that came from. So anyway, because she's so consumed and she can't handle it anymore, she starts pestering her husband. And she asks him over and over and over, just tell me what you guys do out there. That's all I want to know. Just tell me what you're doing and I'll leave you alone.
But he's not going to go against the law of the land. He's going to
like, nope, not going to do it.
Yeah.
The warlords and everybody says that this is a man's ritual and you're not supposed to know. So
I'm not going to be the guy to go against it.
Exactly. So she's like, well, now she's ticked, right? So she decides that the only way she can satisfy her curiosity is to take matters into her own hands and go out and spy on them. So she wraps herself up in the pelt of a cougar. She hides behind a rock and she watches as these guys enter into a clearing in the forest. So she can't quite see well enough. She can't quite hear what's going on. The curiosity's just getting the best of her.
She has to get closer and closer and closer.
She's got to move in.
Yep.
Right. So she starts creeping along and she ends up getting a little too close and they spot her.
Yep.
Well, the guy is mortified. And the other guys they're pretty ticked off as well. But the husband himself, he grabs her and he drags her into the circle and has the witch doctor cast a spell on her.
Well, because now he looks bad, so he has to be the one to step up and
right,
because his quote unquote woman stepped out of line.
The
so
sacrificial wife.
Yep, got to do it. So you don't get kicked out of the tribe.
That's right. And so she's standing there in the circle with her little cougar pelt on, and this witch doctor does his thing, right? And as he casts this spell on her, all of a sudden, that cougar pelt starts to like meld into her skin and it's becoming part of her. And so she literally transforms into this half cat, half woman, demon-esque kind of a thing. And he curses her to live forever alone in the woods, never to enjoy human company again. Which, if you think about it, going back to the shrieks of the woman in agony, I think that's where this stems from, right? She sees people walking through the woods, hiking or whatever, and she realizes she can't have contact with them. She can't be a part of humankind anymore.
So she's just miserable. She
she's
screams
miserable.
out in agony.
And she screams. This Wampus cat that she has now become continues to roam the Appalachian Mountains at night, and she is said to drive people insane by glaring at them with her piercing yellowish eyes that cut through the night, and then when you see it, you become crazy. Which stole, I think, a little bit of legend from the next story.
Yep.
Because a lot of people will tell you that the Wampus cat, it screams, it runs, it attacks livestock, it does all kinds of things. There's been no specific known like human death due to the Wampus cat.
It's always been animals,
It's always
especially
animals.
on farms.
Yeah, she destroys farms, and they believe it's because she's acting out in anger that she's been separated from all mankind. And so that's a good story. The whole point of becoming insane, though, kind of takes our next account, which is again another Cherokee mythology. And this story does, in fact, have a demon. And I don't know how to pronounce this. And
Yeah, I'll let you. I just know it because they call him the spirit of madness. But based on how it's written, though, I'll let you butcher the name.
I'll butcher it because I even looked up Cherokee language on how to pronounce things. Right?
And it's not in there.
It's not in there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It is EW''AH. So anybody that's Cherokee that's listening to that, let us know.
Yeah, let us know how you say it.
Let us know how to say it. I'm going to say it's Ua, or Iwa. But because of where the apostrophe is, I don't think it's Iwa.
It's got to be Iwa.
So I'm going to say Ua.
Yeah.
For this podcast purpose. And if I'm butchering that, I'm sorry. But there's this evil demon. His name is Ua. And like you said, he's known as the spirit of madness.
Because
And
he's so hideous and I'm guessing frightening that the very sight of him causes people to become manic, and essentially you just slip into an irreversible bout of insanity.
right, yeah. And he's also said to feed upon the dreams of children.
Which is a horrifying statement.
And, the tribe had an issue with that, obviously. I mean, if that's what they believed was happening. So they didn't want this thing around.
Right.
And the only thing that could scare this Ua was a Wampus mask, or they called it a booger mask.
Which is a terrible name.
Yeah,
I'll stick with Wampus mask.
Yeah, I like Wampus mask better. And basically that mask was just kind of like the face of a bobcat.
Right.
And apparently the Ua didn't like bobcats or cougars or big cats. Obviously scared it enough and they knew this. So they were going to, end up at making this mask. But so the village shamans, which basically was just a priest or a priestess, and they use magic and things of that nature. They're kind of like, there's the Asian cultures of shamans as well, right?
Right. I forget what they're called.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't really look that stuff up because I already knew that a shaman was somebody that like used magic or used spells and stuff to control disease and to control specific events and things like that. So aside from that, if I don't have a better description, but that's kind of what they were.
Right.
And so they and the war chiefs knew that this Ua had to be destroyed because if they didn't destroy him, he was going to continue to feed on the dreams of their children, and he was going to drive men mad with a mere glance.
Which makes sense going back to what we were talking about. If we were out there, and you pull your firearm out and or you just stop, if you're one of those people who freeze in their tracks and you see it and it's on four legs with two human arms or up on standing bipedal like, and it's screaming at you, and then poof, disappears,
Yeah.
you probably would go insane.
You'd go nuts.
Because can you imagine telling people that? Okay, we got to get this guy some kind of psych eval and get him checked out because you're clearly a nut job. There's not six-legged...
Time to kick this guy out of the tribe.
There's not six-legged people cats out there that are causing you to go insane.
No, but I don't know what the Uwa actually looked like because...
That's true.
I don't know that he looked like
the
Wampus cat, right?
It never describes it now that you mention that. Yeah, that's a good point.
They just say it was so hideous that if you looked at it, you turn into a nut.
Yeah.
Irreversible nut. So it's not even like you could go through some form of therapy.
Yeah.
Or a ritual or something.
Get hopped up on some antipsychotic.
Yeah.
You're just done for.
Right. So anyway, these shamans, they warn the war chiefs that if they send all their tribesmen out to hunt and kill this Uwa, that it would surely be the end of their tribe because they'd all see it. They'd all go nuts.
Yep.
And they'd all go running around the forest, like a bunch of idiots, and they wouldn't be able to come back and take care of their families. And basically, it's the end of their tribe.
Right.
So they said, let's just send one guy out there. We'll risk one guy.
Yep. Send the best.
Send their best, right? So what they're looking for is their fastest, smartest, strongest of all the braves in that Cherokee Nation, and they pick on this one poor guy named Standing Bear.
Yeah, that's what you get for being the best,
That's
apparently.
what you get, yeah. If you're going to be the best, you better prove it.
Exactly.
So poor old Standing Bear, he's blessed by the shaman, and he's given weapons and sent out to kill this Uwa demon.
Which it never specifies, but I'd be interested to know what exactly he was given. Is it typical like spear and bow and arrow that are just the weapons themselves are blessed? Or does he have something else that they believe can specifically take this thing down? It never tells, but it'd be interesting to know.
It doesn't say, but my guess is they just gave him typical weapons
and blessed him
of the tribe and blessed him and sent him on his way to his death.
Good luck.
Yeah, see you later. Standing Bear, going to be laying bear pretty soon. So he's married to this beautiful Cherokee woman by the name of Running Deer. And she says her goodbyes to him, not knowing, of course, that she'd never see him in the same way again.
Probably thinking she never would, yeah.
Yeah, more than likely. So several weeks pass, and late one night, he comes running back into the camp, screaming and basically scratching his eyes out, that he's clearly seen Uwa, and he didn't kill him. And so he's a lunatic at this point, and he can't see well. And by Cherokee law and their standards, he was no longer a man, right? He's just this blithering idiot who might be blind, might not be blind.
And now because of that, he can't be married to Running Deer anymore.
Right. So under their law, he can no longer provide for his family. He's worthless as a husband. So they hook him up with the other women to like wash clothes and do the cooking for the tribe. But he's nothing.
Which has got to suck for Running Deer even more because he leaves. She thinks she's never going to see him again. He comes back, so she's probably kind of happy, but then notices that now he's a nut job. Yeah. And so even though he's back, can't be his wife anymore.
No, and by their standard, he's nothing.
Right.
I mean, so they don't even speak his name anymore. so Running Bear is just now loser boy.
Yeah. Biggest and strongest down to the bottom of the barrel.
He's the scum of the earth. And so she still loves him though.
Yep.
I mean,
rightfully so.
Yeah, she's a good woman.
And she had the best guy there.
She had the best guy there.
Yeah.
And, now he's just garbage. And so she's pretty pissed about this. And so she decides she's going to exact her revenge.
Yep.
She's going to take Uwa down herself. So she goes to the shamans. They give her the mask. And it's basically like the face of a bobcat. And they tell her, if you wear this, the Uwa will be scared of you, at least for the moment, right? So they also take this black paste and they rub it all over her body to conceal her, probably mask the scent, also, darkens her up to the point where It can't tell.
Just like in Predator.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
It's the same thing. Schwarzenegger with the mud, right? And so they rub this black paste all over her body. She adorns the mask and off into the forest she goes.
And they probably have no problem with that because, I mean, yeah, they lose someone, but at least it's not another great warrior.
Right.
You know, to them, it's one of the women who at the time they help out, but they're not what's important for the tribe.
And she doesn't have a husband.
Yeah.
And so she's no loss to anybody. So
because she can't contribute more sons or daughters to the tribe anyway.
right.
So
yeah. So they got
it's a win-win.
They got to lose her down at the river, and they got her, trying to hunt this thing in the forest. And so off she goes, and eventually she finds some tracks, and I guess she figures, hey, these tracks, they could be the Yuah. So she follows them down to a creek, and there she sees this demon standing near the water's edge and assumably taking a drink, out of the river, and it's got its back to her. So she creeps up on it, and just as she springs forward and tries to jump on the back of this thing, the Yuah spins around, sees this cat spirit mask on her face, and immediately begins like tearing at itself, just like ripping its own flesh off.
It's almost like it had the reverse effect as it would if you saw it. You turned insane, whereas now it saw the thing that it's scared of. So now it's freaking out, losing its mind.
Right. So this thing's going ballistic, and it falls backwards into the pool of water. And assumably, I don't know if she's like stabbing it or if she's just drowning it, but she kills this demon. And she takes off running back to the village as fast as she can go. And when she gets there, she's singing the song of joy because she had killed Uwa.
Yep.
And the shamans, they were so elated with the fact that she actually accomplished, what old Standing Bear couldn't do, that they declare her a spirit talker and the home protector for their tribe. And so as the legend goes, the spirit of Running Deer, so unlike the other one where she was cursed and turned into this angry cat, right?
Yeah, this one's a great warrior.
This one's a great female warrior. And so her spirit turns into this Wampus cat that now watches over tribal land, protects them and their people from all like demonic forces.
Which, to go back to the screams we were talking about earlier with the two stories, depending on which one you want to follow, the screams of agony could either be it warding off the spirit of other demons or protecting people, or if you believe the first one,
right,
it's, luring you in with, come help me, I'm this poor defenseless woman in pain, when really I'm a maniacal demon who's going to rip your flesh off.
Exactly. And so
that one's my favorite.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite one. And I don't know if it's because to me, there's more to the story, and it's kind of like the good guys win in the end.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like it more.
Yeah. Good triumphed over evil. And then it's out there to protect things.
Even if it's out protecting, it'd still be horrifying to see. I'd still probably shoot at it, and then I would get killed for trying to kill something good.
Right. And then also, you got to wonder why she kills livestock and stuff, because that still is reportedly happening.
Right.
I guess she has to eat, right?
You would think.
I mean, it's supposed to be a spirit, so I don't know if it does.
Shouldn't have to, but again, we could be talking about maybe it's some kind of tradition where these killings aren't really it eating, but more of a sacrifice to good spirits to continue
like a
to
ritualistic thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go with.
Perfect.
I like it. And so then there's some non-Cherokee folklore that really doesn't have quite the allure that the other two stories have.
They're no offense, but they're poor spin-offs in my mind.
Yeah. Yes.
That's all it is.
Some just drunk sitting on his porch came up with a story or something, but so some of those are just that the Wampus was a fearsome demon that prowled at night making whining noises and had those yellowish or reddish or green eyes and if it looked at you, it turned you insane. So see, they stole the whole Uwa thing because Uwa, the demon, made you insane if you saw it.
Right.
Not the Wampus cat.
Yeah. The Wampus cat protected you.
The Wampus cat protected you under this one.
One.
In the first one, it was screaming because it was agonizing over the fact that it couldn't be part of mankind.
Right.
But none of those turned you insane.
Right. It's like a combination of both stories.
So they stole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bunch of drunks.
Yeah. So yeah, the Appalachian folklore, the mythical beast is often portrayed as a cat-like embodiment of a cursed woman who was punished for her disobedience or her involvement in witchcraft. And it's kind of funny that they brought witchcraft into it. Of course, during that time, I suppose, witchcraft was a big thing, like
right.
in all the settlements, and they were burning women at the stake,
exactly.
Salem and all that. So one of the non-Cherokee folklore stories tells of a witch that roamed through West Virginia, and it would hunt and kill livestock at night.
Yeah, and the townsfolk didn't like that. They
didn't like it.
They got the pitchforks and
kind of put together a whole
together.
vigilante squad, and kind of like the Frankenstein movie where they're out hunting, this monster. And so they actually catch her transforming. She's in the middle of this transformation from this large cat back into a frail old woman. And they attacked her, left her for dead. I guess they didn't kill her, but they, beat her to a pulp.
Right.
And she lived on anyway, forever now stuck between the form of being half cat and that half frail woman. And so that's one of the stories from the Appalachian folk.
Yep.
Which, doesn't really follow the Cherokee legends, which I think are better.
Right.
Better storytelling and more fun.
Exactly.
So, but it could be, I suppose, a witch or a shape-shifting woman that, was left out there to die, and now she's taking her vengeance out upon people's cattle and animals and things of that nature. So those are the basic stories that the Wampus cat has left over the years. And when it comes to sightings, like we said earlier, sightings are difficult in that nobody has a specific story to tell.
Right.
Like in our last episode of the Jersey Devil, there were specific accounts.
Right. The guy shooting at it with the cannon.
The chief of the forestry, who actually encounters it on the roadway. You got David Black, who took pictures of it. Whether you believe him or not,
there still
were
something
specific
there.
accounts and things that you could hang your hat on.
Whereas these are just...
I saw a Wampus cat yesterday.
Yep. I was out on,
And there's thousands of them.
Yep. I was out on this road and saw it this day. But nothing descriptive.
No. So the best thing that we could come up with here was that most of these sightings dated back to colonial days in the U.S., like between the 1600s and 1775, before Declaration of Independence was signed and all that.
Which I'm sure that coincided with, settlers and stuff meeting with the Cherokee and hearing the stories.
Exactly. I would say that's exactly it. They heard the folklore, they became scared.
Exactly.
And because I'm sure these weren't told to them as a joke.
No.
This was something that was believed, and so they bought into it. And so they're terrified.
Well, when you have like an Indian who's a great warrior in the tribe's eyes and even maybe in the settler's eyes, sitting around a campfire and he's in fear as he's telling you the story.
Yeah.
You'd probably take it to heart that, okay, we better watch out for this thing. If this guy who's killed hundreds of people in battle,
and they actually went so far as they formed vigilante squads. They took up arms. They were hiding their children at night.
Yeah.
And so there was a fear.
Yep.
There was an actual fear. And the majority of all these sightings in the Appalachian mountain ranges, the highest number of sightings were always in Tennessee and West Virginia. But sightings have also been reported all the way throughout Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and as far west as like Idaho, which, that's getting way outside the range of Appalachia.
And that one's also weird because what about all the states in between?
Right.
You get just a couple in Idaho and then across the country, but nothing in between.
Yeah.
So that one doesn't really add up to me.
Kind of doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It was probably somebody that moved from Tennessee to Idaho and wanted to start the rumors, in Idaho. But some of the accounts that we came up with is December 17th, 1918, Greenville Sun, which was a paper there, reported that a Wampus cat was roaming the Big Ridge in the vicinity of Gethsemane, Kentucky. And then by 1920, through the 30s, the creature had made several headlines again, and it was blamed for a string of livestock deaths throughout North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. And then in February of 1923, the Greenville Sun reported again, and their headline was Reign of Terror Caused by Raids of Wampus in the Virginia Swamps. So, there was actual news media reporting some of these Wampus cats sightings.
Yeah, it went on. It was talking about it was consuming dogs, pigs, and other animals. I'm guessing livestock. It didn't get too in depth on the list of them, but up in the Norfolk area.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's probably the most detailed account that we have of sightings. There's not really much more that I remember doing the research that had anything that was...
No, and nothing recent. I mean, it went up until like the 1960s and talked about how they formed groups to go out and kill the Wampus. But most of the sightings have always been explained away as being either a cougar or a bobcat or a domestic cat or something, just like we talked about with the YouTube videos that are out there right now. And you look at it and it's like, that's no different than my cat.
Exactly. If it doesn't have 6 legs, then don't put it up.
Don't put it up there. And speaking of 6 legs, the fun part is that the southern states and the whole Appalachian region, they love the Wampus.
They love it, right? Yeah.
And so there's a lot of high schools that actually adopted it as their mascot. So I thought, well, just for the heck of it, we'll just throw them out there.
List off a few, yeah.
You got Atoka High School in Oklahoma. You got Itasca High School in Texas. You got Leesville High School in Louisiana. And then the best one, because they actually use the 6-legged cat as their mascot. They've got a big statue of it out on the campus, which kind of reminds me of like Montana State, where they've got the bobcat right in the center of the school. And
it's a cool looking statue too.
I love that.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen it, Conway High School in Arkansas, pull it up, check out their statue. That's pretty cool to see. Yeah.
And then the last one that we saw was in North Carolina. They have an independent collegiate baseball team called the Uwharrie Wampus Cats. Yeah. And so I think that's pretty cool.
I like it, yeah.
I like that. It's a fierce, it's better than the Detroit Tigers and stuff. I mean, a Wampus Cat's going to take a tiger any day.
Yeah, you got a 6-legged thing with human arms in the front that's going to rip you to shreds. That's way better than just a regular tiger. I mean, although a tiger would be terrifying too, but... I'd definitely rather deal with a tiger than a Wampus cat. At least I could shoot a tiger.
That's right. That's right. You just don't know what you're dealing with a Wampus cat. But I think that's it for the week. Next week, we're going to be talking about a very well-known one, right?
Yep.
And
the chupacabra.
I'm going to be interested in hearing your story because you actually saw a chupacabra.
I did, yeah. And I won't get into it now, but...
No, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And so... join us in 2 weeks for an episode of Chupacabra, the Goat Sucker.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help us out, then go ahead and give us a follow, leave us a review, and don't forget to turn on the automatic download button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And as always, if you've had any experiences, stories, thoughts, comments, or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to cryptidfanatic@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like to be on the show or just have your story featured during one of our episodes.